Jaron Ennis destroys Sergey Lipinets in 6 rounds. I've seen a bit of Jaron Ennis in the past, some clips here, some clips there. I might have seen 1 or 2 of his fights in their entirety. But this is the first time I've watched one of his fights live from start to finish. And I was mightily impressed. I know people have been talking about him for a while and I've mentioned him in previous videos, but this is the first proper look I've got at the guy live. And he is one of the most athletically impressive welterweights I've seen for several decades. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to go on to be the king of the division, because there have been lots of guys in many weight divisions that are very athletically gifted and impressive, but they tend to disappoint at elite level. So the proof is in the pudding at the end of the day, and we have to see how Ennis looks against better competition than the likes of Sergey Lipinets, who is a tough guy, but he's really a 140-pounder, right? But be that as it may, just based on the eye test, Ennis looks tremendously impressive. Fast hands, tremendous spite in his punches. He's really trying to hurt you when he hits you, which is something I really like to see. Really trying to hurt you when he hits you. There seems to be great power there, as well as the speed. Switches from southpaw to orthodox. Great punch variety, tremendous confidence. He's a big guy for a welterweight, 5'10", with a 74-inch reach. That's a nice reach for a welterweight. Not quite Tommy Hearn's reach, not quite Tommy Hearn's height, but still a nice reach for a welterweight. To put it in perspective, Floyd Mayweather has a 72-inch reach, and he outreached most of his opponents, even at welterweight. So he has the physical gifts there, the tools, the confidence, and so on. He's now 27-0 with 25 KOs. He was the first person to stop Lipinets, as far as I'm aware. Yes, indeed, Lipinets has got 2 losses now. The one knockout loss was to Jaron Ennis. Of course, he lost to Mikey Garcia back in 2018 on points. That was back down at 140 pounds. He had that win over Lamont Peterson. He also beat Eric Bone, or is that Bone or Benet? I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Where have I seen that guy fight before? Can't remember who I saw him fight. Don't think it was a Lipinets fight. Sean Porter. I think it was the Sean Porter fight I remember. Anyway, Jaron Ennis managed to stop Lipinets. No one's ever done that to him before. He believes that he's ready for the top guys right now. The Keith Thurmans, the Errol Spencers, the Sean Porters, and so on. If I was to critique anything about Jaron Ennis, particularly from this fight, is that he is a bit defensively sloppy at times. And I think that comes from his tremendous confidence. Maybe he gets a bit overconfident, because Lipinets was able to tag Jaron Ennis on the inside. Whenever he managed to maneuver Ennis to the ropes, he was able to land right hands and stuff like that. Now, Ennis is quite good at riding the punches. So if you watch back on the instant replay in particular, in slow motion, you'll see that Ennis turns his head, kind of like Canelo often does. He turns his head in the same direction that the punch is going, which takes a lot of the sting off it. Rather than moving his entire upper body or putting a hand up to block, he simply turns his head in the same direction as the punch. And that just takes so much of the sting off. And obviously that's a lot more energy efficient, right, for your body than making a bigger move, putting an arm up, moving your feet to get out of the way of the punch and so on. So, yeah, he does do that, but that's not going to work every time against every opponent. And a guy like Lipinets, I would have liked Ennis to have been a bit more defensively responsible and not have been hit. It's not like he got tattooed or anything, right? But he did get hit with a few shots, a few silly shots, giveaway shots, throwaway shots that you wouldn't want to see him getting hit with at this stage, particularly early in a fight. He only went 6 rounds, right? And he was getting hit clean quite early on by Lipinets. So that's the one criticism I do have. And you certainly don't want to get into bad habits, because when you move up to higher competition, better opponents, not only are their punches going to hurt, but they're going to be able to find those opportunities to hit you more easily. Certainly if you're that overconfident and lackadaisical as Jaron Ennis was in this fight, I'm going to assume he's not going to be that overconfident when he steps up in competition, but you never know. Some guys believe in themselves that much, they'll go in there against the top guy in the division and they'll fight with that level of confidence or overconfidence. So we'll see what happens. But yes, in terms of the athleticism, the punching power, the speed, the angles, the balance, the talent, this is a very, very impressive welterweight indeed. Very flash and flamboyant. Says all the right things, of course, which is important to a lot of people in this social media generation. But I'm most interested in who he's actually going to fight. I think he has said that he wants to fight for a world title by the end of this year or the start of next year. I'd like to see it. 27-0 with 25 KOs. Plenty of fights there. Maybe not at a particularly high level, but plenty of fights there. Hasn't been the distance since when? Okay, he went 4 rounds back in 2016. 4 rounds another time in 2016. And since then, it has been all stoppages or knockouts. So you would like to see, before he goes in there against the Spence, a Furman, a Porter, Ugas, I think they're looking to target Ugas actually. Before he goes in there with somebody like that, if you're being careful as his manager, you maybe want to try and get him in with someone who can go the distance, take him 10 rounds or get close. A fully fledged welterweight who is known to be very tough and very difficult to stop. I can't think of any names off the top of my head, but I'm sure these matchmakers could find someone like that somewhere. And maybe if you're Ennis's manager, that's what you would like to do, is put him in with such an individual. But at the same time, maybe you're so confident, maybe you've seen him in the gyms destroying well-known welterweights, good welterweights, and you feel like we can put him in there with an Errol Spence now. We can put him in there with a Danny Garcia, with a Sean Porter, with a Ugas, with a Keith Thurman right now. No problem at all. And hey, I like to see people gamble. Again, it's not like this individual hasn't fought some decent fighters, right? Chris Van Heerden is decent. Not a great fighter, but he's decent. Fought him, Lipinets. So he's fought some guys who are okay. Juan Carlos Abreu. Where have I seen this guy before? Kavalauskas? Did I see that fight? Soto Carras? I don't know, but I feel like I've seen this guy as well. So he has fought some fringe contenders, I guess you could say, for Jaron Ennis. What do you guys think? Let me put it to you. Does he need somebody to take him 10 rounds and put up more stubborn resistance before flinging him in there against the elite at welterweight? Or do you think he's ready right now? I mean, I go back to Muhammad Ali when he fought Sonny Liston. Ali, in terms of the level of opposition he'd faced, probably wasn't much more ready, quote unquote, for Sonny Liston than Jaron Ennis is ready for a Ugas. Obviously, Ugas is not at the level of Liston, but you look at the guys Ali'd fought prior to the Liston fight. He fought Henry Cooper, right? These kind of people. And he had trouble with Henry Cooper. He was down against Henry Cooper. Was Ali ready for a Liston after that? He was a big underdog in that fight for a reason. So Jaron Ennis, I'm not saying he's going to be Muhammad Ali, but Ugas is certainly no Sonny Liston. So, let's see him in there. Personally, from a fan perspective, I'd like to see him fight Ugas next. But with a manager's hat on, maybe try and get him 10 rounds before a championship fight. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm out. Come and join me on Patreon and access my weekly no-holds-barred, censorship-free podcast where we lift the lid on a wide range of controversial topics. It's not mainstream friendly, it's not politically correct, but that's the whole point. We dare to stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. Just head on over to my Patreon page and select the tier called Hatman Hot Topics. You'll gain access to a minimum of 2 hours of exclusive content every single week, including podcasts, videos, interviews, live stream Q&A sessions, as well as my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. Not to mention a vast back catalog of hundreds of hours of previous episodes. You can listen via the Patreon app with the option to download in high quality MP3. We've also got a Discord server where you can come and chat and hang out with myself and other members. There's no contract, no commitment, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.